looks like this for the majority of the day. Like, you can feel crazy if you don't take care of yourself. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Casey Vu. I am a stay-at-home mystic, a mom, and a wife. On my channel, I talk about practical psychology, mindfulness, mindset, so that you can harness self-mastery and self-discovery and use that on a daily basis through motherhood, and on a deeper level, live a life with more meaning and purpose. Today on my channel, I'm talking about self-care, and boy, it was such a busy day today. Obviously, you see the state of my house. I left it like this for a reason, because it's an important topic that I want to talk about today. I'm actually so excited about this topic today because it's not like a general self-care routine, and it's not like face masks and like lavender oil baths. Those things are amazing. They're more like daily stay-at-home mom self-care tips that are just realistic. It's not really about pampering yourself. It's more about just ensuring that you are getting your needs so that you are able to not be so overwhelmed and overtired and just drained, like full of anxiety. Like, trust me, I've been there and it's not fun. It's tough. Ever since I have really implemented these tips in my daily life, I've noticed a huge difference in the way that I'm able to be present. I'm more calm throughout the day. I handle things a lot better. I feel like things don't get to me as much as they do. I'm not saying like I am perfect by any means. Like, I do get frustrated at times, but they're not nearly as like hindering as they used to be. So if you want to feel more at peace throughout the day and to feel like you're not a chicken with its head cut off, stick around. I'm gonna share some of my tips that will just help you feel more peace, more calm. It'll help you be more productive. Like, I say that and I have like, again, like a really messy house, but I promise, just listen to what I have to say. Again, these are things that help me, and if they don't help you, give it some time. This is just my way of just sharing what works for me and encouraging you to figure out what works best for you, and to just like keep in mind how important it is to make sure that your mind, that your body, that your spirit, all of that stuff is taken care of on a daily basis. Like, you shouldn't have to put yourself on the back burner just because you have children. It's so easy to do that, and trust me, I've done it. Honestly, I can't imagine what it's like when you have like more than one child. My hopes are that you just do these things like I do, like, you know, spread it throughout the day or like whenever you can. And I think you'll notice even like a small difference. And I think over time, like the more that you do these things, you'll start to just realize, you know, maybe you're just not as overwhelmed all the time, or not as foggy minded or irritable. So the first tip that I have is to limit screen time. Literally, I cannot access a few of the apps on my phone until 12 o'clock in the day. And for you, that might work differently. And, you know, I completely understand if you have like obligations and you need certain apps to be available to you all the time. But for me, I've noticed that this has really been able to increase my accountability when it comes to being more mindful in the morning and to not just go into a vortex of Instagram scrolling. I would say I've always known that Instagram has been like a very consuming thing. Whenever I would be like scrolling Instagram or like Facebook for like a fairly long time, I would always feel like irritable and just agitated and just like grumpy afterwards. Like, I never felt good after hopping onto Instagram. It was one of those things that I always felt not good about. So setting up screen time limits really just helped to get into the habit of not checking Instagram until later in the day. And the reason for me that I chose to not have those apps available until 12 is because in the mornings, I could really focus on just using, you know, my meditation app. My meditation app is always available. There's never a limit on it. So instead of clicking on Instagram, I could click on my meditation app. Instagram isn't there like to tempt me or whatever. That is like such a huge tip, and that's helped me so much just with being able to focus on like the real self-care things and not with a lot of like the distractions, because Facebook is just distracting and Instagram is distracting and like Twitter is distracting. In my opinion, for the longest time I didn't have any social media, and it was a really, really nice break. But I feel like I found like a fairly happy medium, and I am always like trying to improve in all ways. That has been something that's helped me so much. And along with like the whole screen time thing, I used to always turn the TV on. Since I stayed at home, I always wanted the TV on, since I didn't really like how like quiet it was, and like, growing up we always had the TV on, so it was just like weird if the TV wasn't on. It's been so long since I've had the TV on at my house. I would just have like the news on, and it would be kind of nice to like wake up in the mornings with the news crew or whatever, and like it was like the same people every day. When you're a stay-at-home mom, you're by yourself and you're like not around other people like you used to be when you were working. Basically, I was starting to become conscientious about how I would feel after watching TV. I noticed that I would feel like kind of agitated and irritable, because I felt like, I don't know how to explain it. I was just consuming stuff that wasn't beneficial to me. And what I mean by that is like, basically when you turn on the TV, you don't really choose what they're gonna say to you. You don't really choose like who you get to watch or whatever. Like, yes, it's the same programming, but if they're talking about topics that maybe you're not interested in or you don't really want to hear about, you can't consciously consume. Like, you can't choose what you want to listen to. For instance, on my podcast app, I'm subscribed to very specific stations. I can get a sense of like what they're going to be talking about. But like something as general as a news, like you'll go into a segment that talks about celebrities, and then you're gonna go to a segment about like things on sale. And it was just kind of like information overload, and it was taking up space in my mind. I can remember when I was like slowly trying to not shop a lot, I would get kind of like agitated when I would always have like people on TV constantly trying to like sell me stuff, and it always made me feel like I was missing out, or like I should have this thing, and it was just like making me feel so agitated. The news can be very just like a toxic place, because there's a lot of negative stuff on there. There's a lot of opinions, and if you're someone that just like soaks up that kind of energy really easily, it can be very draining. When you're a stay-at-home mom, you don't need anything else to be draining you. You need to be surrounded by things that like energize you. So to counter that sort of like draining media, I started listening to podcasts that were really uplifting, really like thought-provoking in like a really good way, and I always felt uplifted. I felt a sense of like inspiration whenever I would listen to these kinds of podcasts. So that is what I recommend. If I wasn't watching TV, I was like watching like vlogs and stuff, and like I love vlogs. I love watching vlogs. I found that sometimes like it was taking up space in my mind too, without actually like learning something, or without like learning something about myself. All of this stuff kind of goes into the same category, like scrolling through Instagram, listening to the news, like all of that stuff can be really draining without us realizing it. It feels like it's actually keeping us distracted, or it's keeping us, it feels like we're doing more than one thing when we're like listening to the news and like doing the dishes. Like it helps to distract us from like what we're doing. To me, it felt like it was always taking up space in my mind. It was like slowly draining my energy. When I was limiting things like screen time and just like being more conscientious about the media I was consuming, I found like a huge difference in like my capacity to be present, and my capacity to take on things other than housework, and take on things other than just like being a mom, pursuing YouTube, and like doing a lot of personal development, and like healing my traumas, and just like things like that. So God, I ranted about that for so long. Another pretty practical tip is that in the morning before you get up for the day, I feel like when you first wake up, it is one of the most important times in the day. I know you've had this kind of day where you felt like you literally woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Like you just woke up like in a really crappy mood, and it felt like the rest of your day was just crappy. I know you've had a day like that. What if you can just wake up feeling really good? What if you can wake up feeling like really calm and like really in your element, really confident in the person you are and like what you're gonna do for the day? That's what I've really started to really try. I've tried waking up and being more present. To do that by just like closing your eyes and just like trying to let the thoughts in your mind pass by, be an observer, be non-judgmental when your thoughts go by, and just like focus on your breathing. That really just helps to calm you down and just feel a little bit more centered before like taking on such a, crazy day. Instead of like waking up thinking like, oh, I've got a million things to do and I don't have enough time to do it and I'm gonna have such a crappy day because this. None of those things help you. Like, honestly, stop doing that. Please. All of this is this is all a skill. I am no expert at doing this kind of stuff. Like, I just started, but I've already noticed such a big difference. Everyone is so different, so it might take a little bit longer for you to see a difference, and you really have to go in. I don't think it's possible to just be like, okay, I focused on my breathing, but it didn't help me. Like, you really just have to like fully breathe in, breathe it all out. Let the thoughts go by. I already feel more calm. Also, like in the mornings, I like to incorporate some stretches, when you've been sleeping and probably not moving a lot. So just like getting some more blood flow and just like feeling really good. There's nothing worse than like waking up with like an achy neck and an achy back, a headache. That's literally how I woke up this morning. I woke up with a headache, I woke up with a neck ache, backache, like all of that, because like I guess I was just like sleeping like this and not moving for a really long time. So I like to stretch everything out. Another thing I love to do in the mornings that I've really been trying to do is to really set my intention for the day. Basically, I learned this in a few places. When the yoga instructor says to like, okay, set your intention for your practice today. Throughout the practice, the instructor will be like, in this move, I want you to like come back to your intention. I found this really helpful in my day-to-day life, where I could just set my intention in that morning where it's calm, peaceful, and quiet, and I'm by myself. I set the intention of different intentions that I'll choose. My popular ones are calm and focus. I'll choose compassion. What's another one? I'll choose gratitude. Like, these are the things that I will choose, the sort of like state that I want to be in, or I want to always come back to. I'm not grateful from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. It's more so about like creating that space and that intention, that state that you want to be in. And then the next time you check in with yourself, which for me typically is when my daughter goes to sleep. By the time my daughter goes to sleep, I'm just like foggy minded. I'm like super tired and like drained. And so when I get a chance to come back to my intention and just be like, okay, you want to be grateful today, you want to be calm and focused, it really helps to like energize me, and it really helps to clear my mind of like all of that fog, and really helps me to prevail for the rest of the day. I love intention setting. I love just focusing on being in the present moment, and I'll do this practice of being present even when I'm driving in the car. Like, I'll take a breather, just like focus on breath that comes in and the breath that comes out. I'll notice when we go on walks, I'll just like notice the leaves, and I'll notice the trees. Basically, like, the secret to being present is just to allow yourself to really focus on your surroundings and your environment, to feel all of your different senses, touch, smell, hearing, and all of those, to like do it without like the thoughts coming through your mind. Because when you have your thoughts running amok and allowing these thoughts to affect you emotionally and allow these thoughts to drain you, you're just gonna get really tired and overwhelmed. So when I've practiced being an observer of my thoughts, I've really been able to like save that energy, to help that energy sustain me for the rest of the day. This is such a common theme amongst my mom friends, but it is just so easy to forget to drink water. It is so easy to forget to hydrate. It's so easy to forget to like feed ourselves, but that is just imperative. It's so easy to forget because you're like, I need to feed my children first. I need to feed my child first. Life happens and you just can't get to it. I totally understand. And I don't judge you. I get it. I do. I only have one child, so I honestly can't imagine what it's like when you have more children. It's almost like you are the person who is sustaining your child. You are like literally the life force that ensures that your children are taken care of. So it's so important for you to be taken care of. Like, you need to eat. Like, you need to have energy, like literally energy in your body to keep going so that you can care for your children. And that's just like, it's so simple, but it's just so hard. I think I'm pretty good at like ensuring that I eat my meals and drink water, but it's still a struggle. Like, I struggle to do that, but I know that I have to do that. For example, This used to be full of like nuts, seeds, dried fruit, and it's empty because like I'm always coming to this jar, like literally throughout the day. Like I'll just, whenever I'm like getting hungry or I need a snack, I'll snack on my jar of nuts. I always have like bananas on the table. I have like these bars. Literally, I'm surrounded by all this stuff because I'm always eating, and I need to eat all the time because I'm like always running around, so it's super important. This is something that I actually made for my daughter. It's just bananas, like mashed up bananas, oatmeal, cranberries, and cinnamon. Like this is a super simple recipe. For me personally, I like to put like chocolate chips in them, but basically, like I'm going off on a tangent here, but basically just eat well. Stop making excuses not to eat well, okay? Okay? I get it. I'm there with you. We need to support each other. We need to like be like, hey, take care of yourself, okay? Okay. I think this is like a tip that a lot of people don't think about too. Obviously, an essential fuel for moms is coffee. Like that's just like normal. Coffee is actually super dehydrating. I try to do like 1 to 2 glasses of water before I have even a cup of coffee, and then I like continue to drink water afterwards. If you're just drinking coffee in the mornings, you're probably like super dehydrated, and that can be a cause of just feeling fatigued and tired. Like literally being thirsty can feel like that. I put down power of a shower. That is just so hilarious. Every time I take a shower, I'm always like, oh my gosh, this feels so nice. And I'm always like, ah, the power of a shower. That's what it's come to these days. I don't take a shower every single day. I take one like once every other day. Take advantage of those times. You can practice mindfulness and like self-care during these very like basic times. Like whenever you go take a shower, like that's such a great opportunity to like come back to your intention, to really just like breathe and feel the sensation of water on your body, and to really not focus on like what you have to do next or like how you should have done something. Like really to just allow the thoughts to pass by, just be an observer, and just to like really be in that present moment, be in that shower. Like don't be anywhere else but that shower, because that's probably the most alone time that you'll have throughout the day, and it's just so imperative that you have that time and space for yourself. Oh yeah. So this is a fun tip. The reason why my house is like this is because we have just been so busy with just everything. Yesterday we had an appointment that was like an hour away from us, and then I went to a work event with my husband that evening, and then today it's Halloween, so we did some like trick-or-treating at a nearby shopping center. All of that stuff is so fun, but you guys, when you go from place to place, it just takes so long to pack everything. And I don't know, maybe I'm in first time mom mode and I just pack everything, and that's just kind of the human that I am. I over prepare at times. But my daughter's a lot like me. She's like always eating, and I'm always eating. So maybe my mentality is like, I need to make sure that we take care of ourselves wherever we go. So maybe that's a good thing. Anyways, so my tip is whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling foggy minded and like irritable and agitated, finally your children go down, finally you have a chance to clean up the house, but you're like still in this like really agitated mindset and like overwhelmed and full of anxiety. My biggest tip is to actually like step away from trying to continue to complete more tasks and to actually come back to yourself and just really try to take time out to recapture your intention and to just take a small moment just to take time to like focus on your breathing and be in the present moment. If you're saying to yourself like, how can I be in the present moment when my house is a mess? Like that makes me feel anxious and full of anxiety. Basically, the idea behind all of that I'm telling you is to get to a point where your house doesn't make you full of anxiety. I know that sounds crazy. Basically, when you practice more mindfulness, more presence, you are almost building up this wall around you, or like having like a shield of light around you where you aren't as easily phased, or your house is like in disarray, but it doesn't agitate you. It doesn't cause you to like leak more of that energy. You're just like, okay, you know, I know my house is a mess right now, and I know that I'm going to have time to get to it. I'm gonna do the things that need my priority right now, or I'm gonna take 7 minutes to myself to recenter myself, to re-energize myself, to refresh myself. And then actually when you go back to trying to pick up or do the dishes, you'll feel more energized and you'll feel happier doing it. That's way better than trying to like get everything done in a really agitated state. You're even more tired because you took the time out to like clean everything. And yes, you'll have such a clean house, but you'll like feel awful, like you won't feel good. Of course, like when you declutter and you clean, like you do have a sense of like accomplishment, and I think that's really important. You'll feel better knowing your house is clean, but also like you might feel super fatigued. So it's just learning how to balance that out. The 5 to 7 minutes you take before you like go clean up, it might make a huge difference for you. At least it does for me, and it just takes practice. My message here to you is to really begin to become aware of the thoughts that you're having, not to do that with any judgment, but just realize that these thoughts don't just happen and then they go away. These thoughts, if you allow them to, they can be super draining on you. They can cause you to feel just exhausted. Having to think about everything that needs to be done at your house, just the thought alone will make it feel like you've already done it. You'll just feel so tired. Be aware and then begin to let some of these thoughts pass by. Imagine them like being clouds, or have them pass by like they're cars on a road. You aren't like judging your thoughts. The thoughts won't always stop, but just becoming aware of them will actually allow you to not let them affect you emotionally anymore. The less times you are anxious and the less times you feel angry about like all the stuff that needs to be done, you end up having more energy. You can actually get more things done. You'll be more patient. You'll have more time to do the things that you really want to do. You'll spend less time feeling like you just have an endless to-do list. You'll feel really good. Of course, my camera battery died. But that's just what happens when you are a new YouTuber. I didn't want to be rude and just not say goodbye. So I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this video and for showing me love and support. It means literally the world to me. I am totally pursuing this YouTube thing. I'm just so excited because I am talking about the things that I love, being able to connect with other people on a very similar journey with me. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Please drop a comment, say hi, let's be friends. You can connect with me on Instagram at StayAtHomeMystic. Send me a message or a comment there. I would love for us to be friends. I can't wait for the next time for us to chat. Until then, be well and stay mystic.